Hi, I'm Dr. John Gray, author of a well-known book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And 25 years later, I've written another book called Beyond Mars and Venus, because relationships have certainly changed. The world changes, but ironically, the biology of men and women is pretty much the same. And although it seems to be getting more and more challenged as people experience a hormonal imbalance, which is occurring today due to plastics and environmental toxicity, and unfortunately, a negative academic culture, which tells us that men and women are the same, that can throw people way out of balance, because then they feel like you're doing something wrong if men and women experience differences. But actually, it's when we experience our differences in a positive way, we actually come together with more harmony. You shouldn't have to give up who you are. So today I want to talk about biologically how men and women are different. And this is universal. And this is a joy for me. It's an honor for me to speak for Health Freedom Expo. Health Freedom is, I'm 100% on board, and I'm so lucky to be a part of this and contribute what I know about optimal health. And it's really not known to a great extent what I'm going to talk about, although there's biological research that you can find to back it up. And I really like that, because I've been fighting this battle for over 35 years, explaining that the emperor has no clothes. I've been calling out while the universities are all saying that men and women are the same. They're not. And it's common sense, but then I had to prove it to them. Because so many problems as a marriage counselor, what I saw was so many problems that couples have is women expecting men to be like women and men expecting women to be like men. We don't recognize there's a difference. So quite commonly back in the day, it was actually kind of a radical understanding for men to get. When your wife is talking about her feelings about her day, you don't have to interrupt and solve the problem. It'd be simple things like my wife complaining about her job. And I say, just quit that job. I make enough money. You can do whatever you want. And she's, John, I love my job, but sometimes I need to talk about it, and be frustrated and share my feelings. That's how I create intimacy and I feel better. And now it's almost become a part of our culture, at least men who understand women are different. They read my book and they go, oh, now I realize that, I just let my wife talk and then she can go from feeling stressed to feeling better. Well, we're going to learn the biology of that today, because one of the other most popular concepts of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, that is so helpful in relationships. And yet people who often don't understand men and women are different, are offended by the idea. But the idea was men have this man cave. Okay, so that's a chapter of, and that's a whole new idea. And yet men have always had this cave. My dad used to read a magazine and the newspaper, and that was his cave, or watch TV, and that was his cave. My mother just didn't interrupt. And I remember being married to my wife. We've been married for 34 years. In the first year, I started ordering magazines, and I would put up I never read them before. It was not a big deal for me. And now I'm reading the newspaper, big paper, and I'd hold it up in front of me. And I go, why am I even doing this? What happened? So I put my magazine down, and suddenly my wife came into the room. It's like she had little antennas that came up that said, inactive man can get help. So I realized that was like this little cave. As long as I had the magazine up, she wasn't going to, quote, disturb me and ask me to do something or want to talk to me. Well, ironically, I began to see this was a big problem. And as a marriage counselor, is that when men want to take what I call cave time, he just wants to be by himself for a little while. He's decompressing from the day, because we need that to cope effectively with stress. We solve problems. If we're solving problems, we're actually feeling good. And then if we can't solve problems, we feel kind of a frustration or lower energy. And there's a mechanism inside of men that they can turn on. Now, not all men do this because they don't know they have this mechanism, which they can sit and forget the problem. Now, wouldn't that be great if you could forget the problem? And that's why we often say to women when they're upset, just forget it. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Okay, just forget it. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Why would men say that? Because we can do that quite easily, and it's quite beneficial to us if we develop that skill. And now for me, I developed that skill because in my 20s, I was actually a monk, and Hindu monk. And so I had the guru Maharishi Mahesh Yogi back in the day. TM, Transcendental Meditation, became this very popular system. And I wanted to, everybody's taking drugs. I wanted to get high without having to crash or take drugs. And the Beatles said you could learn meditation. So I became a master of meditation. I was his personal assistant for 9 years, a celibate monk. Meditation's one of my favorite activities because I'm very good at it. It takes practice and you get very good at anything. But the point being is I learned that the ancient knowledge was that if you're stressed, particularly if you're a man, you meditate and then you forget your problems. That's the whole goal of it, is forget their problem, become quiet, silence the mind. Now that's something much easier for men to do than women, although modern women can do it much better than traditional women because they've developed more of their masculine side. So it's beneficial. But typically speaking, the way you lower stress if you're a man is forget it. Don't worry about it. Do something to distract your attention. Read the news, watch sporting events, play a game, go to the gym and work out, meditate, solve problems, go back to work. Do something where you're either solving problems or forgetting problems. But if you're thinking about problems and you can't do anything about it and your mind just starts looping on it, your stress levels go up. So men have the ability to let it go temporarily and come back to it when you're able to do something about it. So when women are upset, we always say, well, forget it. It's not a big deal. We'll work on it tomorrow, or I'll solve that for you. You should do this and this and this. We want to do something about it. So that was all great wisdom, because when women understood the cave, then they realized that many times men just ignore their wives, ignore their relationship. It's not about her. You see, women always think, oh, he doesn't love me, he doesn't care about me, he's ignoring me. And that causes stress in her. And today we're talking about how to lower stress in men and women, because we know now that when you have elevated stress levels, when you're not recovering efficiently from stress, what's happening in your life is that your immune system becomes weaker. Chronic stress causes and this is proven biologically, chronic stress will weaken your immune system. It weakens your digestion. It weakens your ability to detoxify, which we know is so significant today for our health. And nobody talks about the importance of our relationship skills, because we have stressful days and we come home and a guy needs to take his cave time, and his wife's going to feel like, why does he want to be with me? Why is he not interested in me? Why is he not looking at me? Why don't want to hear what my feelings are? And so she says, what's the matter? What's going on inside? He says, nothing. Now she takes that personally. Oh, he doesn't want to share with me. Because for a woman, if you ask a woman what's going on inside, she says, oh, nothing. But what she means is, unless you really care and you'll ask me more questions and we'll have a conversation, I'll feel safe to share with you what happened today. But often today, women don't even know they have that need. Back in the 90s, when the theme of it was communication, women were complaining, my husband doesn't listen. Now women are just so stressed out they don't even know they need to talk. Talking turns out to be about feelings, about frustrations, disappointments, concerns, worries, and doubts. If you talk about that without somebody trying to interrupt you, then you actually lower stress if you're a woman. And if you're a man, if you solve problems, your stress doesn't build up. But if there's frustrations in the day, concerns and worries and frustrations, you're going to use up. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. You use up your testosterone. So men go to their cave to forget their problems, to rebuild their testosterone. And men need to make at least 10 times more testosterone than women. So that's why men relate to this. So when a guy goes to his cave, women don't fully relate to it, because when they go to their cave, it's also meaning that they don't really trust their partner. My partner won't listen to me. I'll just hold it inside. My partner's not really there for me. Or if she's really mad at you, she'll go to her cave. Well, I'm not talking to you. I'm going away. So she easily misinterprets it when a guy goes to his cave. Then he's in his cave and she tries to get him to talk. Instinctively, you don't want to talk. He's trying to forget everything. Don't remind me of everything. That just raises stress level up. So we see that these are basic differences. If women can understand when men are in their cave, he can't be open and sharing and kind and friendly, generally speaking. He's rebuilding his testosterone, which happens when he's relaxed, slightly challenged, in a non-stressful way and forgetting all his problems. And the last thing he needs is to be talking to his wife at that time, because that will interfere with the rebuilding of low testosterone. Now, if he has high testosterone, healthy testosterone, then actually it's good. He can talk with his wife, interact with her, because every interaction with his wife or his children lowers his testosterone a little bit if it's your normal kind of interactions. Now, why is that? Well, first of all, statistically, we know the truth. Men, when they get married, there's a drop in testosterone. And when men have children, there's another drop in testosterone. That is universal in our culture. Now, for me, mine went up. And now I'm 69 years old, and my testosterone levels are 50% higher than when I was a young man, because I've learned what I'm teaching here is how to naturally boost your testosterone if you're a man and naturally boost your female hormones if you're a woman. What we know is that for women to be stress-free, when a woman has no cortisol, adrenaline production going on, her estrogen levels will be 10 times more than a man's. Estrogen, 10 times more than a man's. And for a woman to actually feel that special love, which is attraction to a man, falling in love with a man, then, we dip in and out of, we love our partners, but we dip in and out of feeling in the mood, so to speak, feeling in love, open, sharing, inviting. That's for women. That only happens for women, generally speaking, when their estrogen levels are doubling. They're moving closer to double. And that's a time when she's more aware of her needs. And if she's getting her needs met or anticipates getting her needs met, then she will experience a sense of attraction and interest and appreciation and greater trust. This is all biologically shown. And when women are naturally, if they're stress-free and they're naturally close to ovulation, they find themselves more interested in sex, for example. They are more attracted to the opposite sex at that time. Basically, why do women go to doctors more? It's because whenever you go to a doctor, you're anticipating getting something that you need. And that raises her estrogen levels, which lowers her stress. One of the main reasons when women go to doctors, in my opinion, although nobody's ever said this before, when you look at placebos, for example, is just simply, if a woman believes a doctor is going to help me, and women go to doctors way more than men, counselors, the same thing. 90% of the people who come to counselors are women. They want help because if they anticipate somebody's going to hear me, somebody's going to help me, and to the extent they can feel their need for help, their estrogen levels will go up and their stress levels will go down. That's very, very significant. Now, nobody's done studies yet showing that placebo works better on women than men, but those just aren't there. I suspect it does. But men also have estrogen side. And it would be if a man has high estrogen, then he would be as well be more affected by that. But here's the rub. And we don't have research on that. So let's not think about that too much. Everything else I say has got bottom line research on it. This is so amazing. We know that with men, okay, here's the thing, because we all want health and we're getting older and so forth, is the men at 50, average men at 50 in America have half the testosterone levels of they had when they were young. Now, I'm an example standing here, 69 years old, 50% more. And it's because of my relationship skills. This is very, very important, what men have to understand. Heart attacks. Now, I've had 3 brothers. 1 died of a heart attack, and 2 have had several heart attacks. So it's not the genes, so to speak. I've never had a heart attack. I've got very healthy cardiovascular function and so forth, because I understand how to keep my testosterone up. Now, before I talk further about testosterone, most people have a negative connotation with testosterone, although they know it's about sex and whatever, but they also think testosterone causes aggression and negativity, and it doesn't. The research shows conclusively that it's only when testosterone levels convert to estrogen through aromatase, that's an enzyme, the testosterone goes up and then you feel threatened. I can't solve this problem. So now I'm going to, when men lose confidence, their testosterone goes to estrogen, and now they become emotional with negative emotions. Typically speaking, men only have negative emotions when their estrogen levels are high and their testosterone is going down. So that's revolutionary. And if he's angry, upset, and argues, it only gets worse. His testosterone goes down, 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 unless she says, oh, you're right. Oh, you're right. I'll do what you say. You're amazing. And then those messages raise his testosterone up, which is why often in the past, women have learned to be people pleasers, because if they're with if they're with men who tend to be poorly trained as children, they don't have role models of success, then they're easily insecure when they don't get what they want, and then they get angry. And so what women learned in those cases is just say, you're right, you're right, you're right. And his anger will go down, but that's not a good strategy for life or relationships, and actually doesn't really boost his confidence that he's able to create respect in the relationship, not just for himself, but for her. So these are all dynamics that we can learn about how men and women are different. And I simplify it down, and then we will get into how to regulate stress and support. So men, when they retire, their testosterone levels drop more, their estrogen goes up. And generally after 2 to 3 years, they have a heart attack. Now that's statistics from insurance companies. It's testosterone, because see, when you stop working, your testosterone goes down. Now we say cholesterol and all that causes heart attacks. Arteriosclerosis, half arteriosclerosis causes heart attacks. Half the heart attacks, there's no arteriosclerosis, there's no high cholesterol, there's just stress. And when men are stressed, what happens is their estrogen levels are always high and their testosterone's low. You're not digesting your food, chronic stress. Your estrogen levels are high, your testosterone levels are low. We're going to learn how to use relationships and lifestyle changes in order to balance those hormones. This is like, nobody talks about this. It's just like so amazing. And they don't talk about protect freedom from heart attacks through testosterone. You can't have a heart attack, guys, if you got healthy testosterone. And nobody talks about it because they don't understand behavioral skills increase testosterone. How you have sex increases testosterone. You don't have to take testosterone or Viagra, those things. You have to take it. And if you take it, it doesn't protect you from heart attacks, actually encourages them, because you're not doing anything to get to the cause of the heart attack, which is chronic stress, high blood pressure due to hormonal imbalance. All you have to do is start balancing your hormones, a little bit of exercise and better food and a few extra supplements, and you're there. You're a healthy guy. And for women, it's just the opposite. What they need is less testosterone production and more estrogen and progesterone and oxytocin production. They're a little more complicated, particularly when they're cycling. And then outside of cycling and menopause, they still can find the balance once they learn how to balance their hormones. It doesn't matter if you have low hormones, because hormones go down in women after menopause. But the whole problem for her is her stress levels go up when her testosterone production is greater than her estrogen and progesterone production. That's the key. So at any age, this stuff is so important once we get to the foundations of what creates through our behaviors these hormones. So let's simplify it. Whenever you depend on someone, women, you make estrogen. And if you're all overly independent, you can't trust anybody, you're too demanding, you're a perfectionist, so you can't accept anything, and there's no one to appreciate except yourself, because you're disappointed all the time because you think you know better. And maybe you do, but you're a perfectionist, if that's the case. Well, your estrogen levels are going to go down. So the more estrogen you have, the more capable you are of feeling I need help. And when you then see what kind of help do I need, and you can anticipate getting it, your hormones will come back into balance. When you feel free to do the things you like to do in your life, not what you have to do, more things what you like to do, then you make more progesterone. And that's sort of being selfish. What do I like to do? Well, part of the month, that we'll talk about cycling women, still having your period, part of the month you are, I know a lot of people watching this probably are more concerned about their health. They're almost in menopause or beyond that, but we'll start with the cycling women, which is you have, when you're ovulating, your body, to be in balance, to be stress-free, it needs twice as much estrogen. But then after ovulation, your body needs more progesterone than estrogen and not as much estrogen. So as progesterone is produced to what's called social bonding, which is doing what you enjoy doing, not necessarily for anybody, but you can be helping somebody. That also produces progesterone. But it only works if you've also gotten your estrogen production. So you have to have estrogen, which is I'm getting what I need, and therefore now I'm helping you. or I'm doing something for myself and giving myself what I need. So it's like this whole thing that causes stress in women is feeling I'm not getting enough, so I'm giving to get more. Whenever women are giving to get more, it's a foundation for resentment. And whenever they do have resentment, their hormones are out of balance. That's it. Anything you resent, life is unfair, unjust for me, your stress levels are going to be high, your estrogen is going to be low. So it's learning how to create mindsets that create balance. It's just a simple mindset of looking at the things, the have-tos that you do during the day. You can basically go, well, I have to do this, but why do I have to do it? Look at the outcome. I have to pick my kids up from school today. Why I have to do that? Because I love my children. I like my children. I want them to get what they need. Then you take a deep breath and go, I'm so glad I can do that. I'm so glad I can do that. I can do what I want to do. See, we have to constantly remind ourselves, if you're a woman, I can do what I want to do. And there's many things that you don't want to do. Stop doing them and start asking for help. And often women don't feel they want to ask for help because they don't want to be obligated to give more because they're already giving more. And any woman who comes to me in the office over 40 years always complains, I give and give and give and I don't get back. That's it. Stop giving so much and start learning how to receive. When you're in a receiving mode, receptivity is femininity. Now we all have a male and female side. And when men go too far in their receiving mode, their estrogen goes up and their giving mode, which is testosterone production. And people think, well, that doesn't make sense. That's what it's about. Receptivity is femininity. Then when you're balanced in your femininity, then you can give freely because you're not giving to get. Now, men, you need to give to get. You have to be strategizers. Don't do anything if you're not going to get something from it. Like, why would you go to a job that doesn't pay you? Why would you help people who don't feel that you're helping them? You say, when you do something, you have to measure into it. I'm doing this. What's the reward? What is the reward? The anticipation of results. The anticipation of results. And you go off to war, you're protecting your family. You're protecting the country. You're a hero. Your testosterone levels soar. Okay, that's what men are about, is always serving others. The bottom line, look on the Chicago police, it says to protect and serve. That's what men are about. We are the heroes. And women, as they on the female side, is thank you so much. Let's give a parade for the soldiers that are returning from war, willing to sacrifice their lives for us. See, this is all hormonal foundation. And once women are now free to go to their male side, which is a big transitions in my life, I've witnessed since the 60s, as women were going over to, and women empowerment groups to solve the world's problems and run the world and become CEOs. Okay, that's them going to their male side. They start making more testosterone and not enough estrogen. So their stress levels go up and their ability to fall in love goes up, it goes down. Their ability to sustain relationships goes up, goes down. I'm sorry. They have more divorce. Divorce starts happening 1968, 69, divorce, boom, it doubled. Why? Because it was no fault divorce. Finally, women could leave their husbands. They can go out and make a living without having to go into a court. Boom, what happened? These were dissatisfied women. This is the women of the 60s. As soon as they went to their male side, now we can do it ourselves. Why am I depending on him? And that's okay. Male side for women is great. It's freedom, but the freedom is on a spiritual level to be both masculine and feminine within ourselves and to find that balance. Whenever a man is depressed, anxious, anxiety, overweight, fat belly, angry, argumentative, weak, all these symptoms of masculinity are missing. Those are the things that happen to men when their estrogen goes high and their testosterone goes down. It's very sad. It's very sad. And nobody teaches them. We just don't have this knowledge yet of how men can get away from the addictions. Because see, watching TV can be addiction that raise your estrogen. Any addiction is basically raising estrogen levels in a man. Any addiction for a woman is raising their testosterone levels. This is like shocking, amazing information that can change your life. Now, the biggest addiction for men, I'll just mention it now, that's destroying our young youth tremendously. And I've written a whole book on that. One of my 28 books over there called Boy Crisis is, and there's many things in that book, but there's a major part I feel I should share, and it relates to all men. And that's the new craze over the last 20 years of internet porn. Masturbation lowers testosterone. Masturbation lowers testosterone. Masturbation to porn lowers it even more. and basically creates an addiction to non-personal sex. Now, when you're addicted to non-personal sex, the outcome of that is the inability to be turned on to personal sex. So your ability to sustain an erection, for example, in a personal relationship, you don't have it because you care about your partner. That raises your estrogen, but your testosterone is so low that you can't get it up. But if you're with a woman that you don't know, there's no estrogen being produced because you don't have a relationship. Estrogen also is love and connection and empathy and caring, compassion, all that good stuff. So when you don't really have that, then your testosterone levels shoot up, your dopamine levels shoot up, and you get addicted. One of the major addictions today, it's massively a problem. It's lowering testosterone in men. Now we can look at some research to back this up. Japanese did studies showing that when a male has sex with a woman, first of all, the Italians did a study which showed that when you have sex with your wife, after having sex and you're a man, your body produces some prolactin, and prolactin inhibits your desire to have sex for a while. It creates a longer recovery period and causes you not to be interested in other people, other women, but more in touch with your wife. But then you suddenly do impersonal sex, either masturbation without your partner, or even worse, you do pornography and masturbation for men. Your body will, first of all, get a much higher hit of dopamine, like taking cocaine. So that in itself is addictive. But also you keep wanting to do it again and again because your body doesn't make prolactin. Isn't that interesting? Biologically, your body, if you make love, you make prolactin, so you don't get addicted to sex. If you have sex with yourself or with somebody else that you don't really love or care about, or is new and different, what happens is you don't make prolactin, and now you get more addicted to sex. Your body says, if you don't love her, you should go out and find somebody else. Find somebody else. I mean, it's amazing, the biology of all this. So that's the first thing. Second thing, so if you're going to ejaculate, make sure it's going to be with somebody you love so you don't get addicted to wasting your energy, because every time you ejaculate, your testosterone goes down, down, down. This is the Japanese study, which showed that when you have sex on Saturday night with your wife, it can be with your wife even, or if you do it on porn, but the study was even with your wife, after sex, your testosterone goes down 50%. It stays down 50%. And slowly rises to 60% by Friday. And then on the 7th day, on Saturday, 6 days of abstinence of ejaculation, your testosterone levels will double. So here I'm at 69, my testosterone levels are so much higher than as a young man because I don't masturbate, I do porn, and I have a relationship that supports me, because there's a lot of other things beside this, but this is biology. We have to respect that. It's a major challenge for men, is this ejaculation addiction. So let's just put that to the side right now and focus on relationship addiction. What happens to women, which is kind of the equivalent of that, is as soon as women start to be dissatisfied in relationships and they complain, complaining produces dopamine and is addictive if you're using complaints to change your partner. If you're sharing your discontent without the intent to change somebody, it's non-addictive. It actually lowers your stress. But if you complain, that's, I want to change you. So here's the difference between sharing versus complaining. We're in the restaurant and I say to you, my friend, hey, my soup's kind of cold. This is like overpriced, don't you think? And they say, yeah, mine's cold too. We're just sharing back and forth. Then I say, waiter, I want a free dessert, a new drink, and I want this heated up. What did I just do? I shared my complaint to change you. As soon as you use complaints to change, you make testosterone. Now, for a man, that's good. Okay, so if I complain to make a difference, and it works, mostly complaining doesn't work, but in some situations it might. But when women complain, particularly in intimate personal relationships, it's basically raising their testosterone and not their estrogen. And it produces dopamine, higher levels of dopamine, and you can get addicted to complaining. Now, I first became aware of that when we did MRI scans, we meaning the body of science. I didn't do them, I just read the research. That MRI scans on parents who consistently grieve, they lose a child, awful, terrible, terrible thing. And this is years later, they're having to take all these drugs and all these things because they never get through it. Now, whatever you believe about these things, we should all be able to eventually come back to a place of happiness in our life, but they're never happy. Maybe you're not happy about what happened. Of course you aren't, but you're happy in your life. They can't find happiness again. As a matter of fact, they're in despair and they're unhappy and they're suppressed and so forth. What they found is that in the MRI, they show pictures of their children that was lost. And the brain lights up just like they took cocaine. Complaining, grieving too much becomes an addiction. And so this is really important information because many women, their mind is just busy, busy, busy all the time. That's a symptom of low estrogen, high testosterone. And they're going to have adrenaline response, and they have a cortisol response, and they're chronically stressed and the inability to relax. Their estrogen levels go down, and they become part of the national norm of married couples who stop having sex. So many couples are not having sex. Only half of women in America have ever had an orgasm, and half of those have never had an orgasm with their husband doing it to them. And I don't consider that an orgasm from my point of view. It's more them doing it to themselves. You measure the hormones, and basically they would never reach the level of a real female orgasm where her estrogen levels double. And that's the whole dynamic of what allows women to fully relax. And she really needs only one really big one a month to get to that same level that she would get to if she was ovulating. Because the body says if you're not ovulating, you can't make babies. So it's time to get rid of you. So you start aging. So stay young and vibrant and healthy. You want to have great sex. All right. So all of that, and that's not the only way to do it. Okay. Because some people, that's not their thing. That's okay. There's other ways to do it, which is love. Love is the answer to this. See, sex by itself is actually it's debilitating to the human spirit, and it lowers testosterone in men, and it lowers estrogen in women. We've seen this. If you have sex because you love someone, okay, then you produce the right hormones. If you don't love someone, you actually become less in the gender-specific hormones. Your stress levels go up in life, but you create an addiction to that very action that puts you out of balance. And that's so weird, isn't it? That the things that are really bad for us, we get addicted to them. Yes, we all know that to be the case, whether it be cocaine, whether it be yelling and screaming, whether it be arguing and fighting, whether it be having an Oreo cookie, eat one, you got to eat another one, another one, another one. So we have this whole country of addicted people, obese and diabetic and so forth, all because of our inability to control ourselves and controlling what we call the instinctive brain. The instinctive brain just goes for stimulation. Okay, just give me stimulation. And what we want to do is let the front part of our brain control us. And that can only occur as blood flow goes to the front part of the brain where you're in charge, not your conditioning, not your instincts. You're in charge of reflecting on your conditioning, keeping your instincts in control, meaning you direct them. But the conditioned brain, it's all conditioning from society, your parents, their parents, or whatever. But you don't have to be trapped in all that. If you're using blood flow to the front part of the brain, you can reflect. You can go, gee, I'm really angry at that person. I want to hit them. Then my front part of the brain can go, that's probably not a good idea. Let's find another way to do it. So that's conscious evolution, co-creation with the universe, basically, is what we're talking about here, or with God, if you believe in God. I certainly do. And so all those aspects, we have to take this all in consideration in this limited amount of time. I see my time's slipping by so quickly. And I want to introduce to you the idea that relationship skills are the major contributing factor to your health. Now, I have a whole health food store, okay? I can show you online. I have 32 videos explaining all these conditions that people have in simple terms, what supplements to take to fix it. And it's so helpful. And my daughter was raised with me being this expert. Besides relationship stuff, I have a whole website. Matter of fact, I'll share this screen with you for a moment of just learning how to share my screen today, actually. And if I go over here to share, there we go. And here, that's the front page of my website. That's the book I'm talking about right now, Beyond Mars and Venus, Times Have Changed, Our Relationships Desperately Need New Skills to Match. Because see, women are on their male side, we need to help them come back to their female side. And men are more on their female side, which means we're more passive, more emotional, more argumentative, are less motivated, procrastinate more, or we're addicted. All of those things, or we lost our libido to our wife. We still do it online, or we're thinking about other women, but we can't do it with our wife. All these things is men being on their female side. How do you get back to the male side? That's what we're talking about today. And so here's the sequel to Men Are From Mars, which is called Beyond Mars and Venus. Now, right, but this is something that's free for everybody. And this is what I've been talking about today. This is a free course at marsvenus.com, how to get everything you want in your relationships one step at a time. You don't just suddenly get a payload. It builds and builds and builds, but you grow closer and closer and closer. You click that little red button and you would suddenly get a free course over 4 days. We'll be doing a video. My daughter and I, that beautiful woman there, that's my daughter. And she teaches for the last 10 years my stuff as well. And you know, I tend to talk a lot. She tends to be very specific. So the course is very efficient. Within an hour a day for 4 days, you'll get the basics on really, it's changing people's lives. I'm getting the same response from that course that I got from Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus back in the 90s. Wherever I went, people said this changed my life. But things are different now. We've got to upgrade the skills. So by changing your relationship, you will have the foundation of relationships working and supplements working. See, supplements, if you're constantly, say you have a supplement that helps you with a headache, but you keep hitting yourself with a hammer, they don't work. Even a good diet doesn't work if you keep hitting yourself with a hammer. So what do you do about that? Well, what you do is on the supplement level, you can go down this chart, you can see that there's a John Gray's Wellness Solution. You can get that, that's a book, it's 400 pages long of all my natural solutions. One of the foundation natural solutions that I talk about a lot is my Mars Venus Superfood Shakes. Why? Because I had Parkinson's 20 years ago. And when I had that, that's at marsvenus.com. But when I had Parkinson's, that was 20 years ago, I began to research health. And within 6 months, I reversed it, but it was early stage. You know, a lot of people hear me talk about, and they're really progressed along the way. You can usually stop it from progressing naturally. If you take the drugs, the treatments, it only gets worse and worse. So there's a lot of research on that I put out there on the website, and I had to take some down because the FDA hated me for it. You can't say this stuff. But anyway, I studied the brain and I realized how the brain can heal itself with good nutritional supplements. So for the last 20 years, I've really taught a lot about supplements for people. And I know many of you are interested in it. You can find out my ideas at marsvenus.com. But my daughter was raised on that stuff. And so she would every day check herself with her pendulum, you know, what supplements, and she was really good at that. And then she decided that she was going to learn a different way. She gave up all her supplements. She just eats a really good diet. She used to have thyroid problems, no longer taking thyroid medicines, no longer taking all these supplements. For her, she just focused in her ideal relationship on these relationship skills. And for her, it all changed. Also mindset techniques as well that she did. And I'm blown away. You know, here's my daughter saying, you know, Dad, I don't need any of those supplements. She was just 34 years old. But before that, she was needing a lot. She had digestive issues. She had, you know, mood swings. She had gut issues. She had needing thyroid, all that stuff, you know, where you go out of balance. So she found her balance primarily by mindset and relationship skills. And it's quite amazing to me. At the same time, I do still take supplements. I'm 69. I plan on living to 132, feeling like I feel now. So that's my optimistic thinking. But I know the secrets of that. Now, ultimately, the secret of that is, particularly as you get older, men, is learning how to have sex without ejaculating. That's called Tantra or Taoism, which I've studied in China for 10 years, studied in India for 23 years. And I've learned to do that as well. But that's much more advanced. You just need to start with just having sex once a week. And if you're like in the 60s, you want to do it like once every 9 days. And then, so you build up without masturbating and let it build up and double. You need to get that doubling of testosterone every week or so in order to rebuild your testosterone levels. Plus, you need to have productive work. You can't stop working. You need to feel like you're making a difference in people's lives. And in your relationships, you want to feel enormously appreciated. That's the whole thing. You can be super alpha man, making all this money and doing all this great stuff for the world, and come home to a wife who's dissatisfied with you and your testosterone crashes. You know, home should be regeneration, rejuvenation. So here's the dynamic. We want to just, you know, I know I need to finish up here because there's a limit to how these things go, but it's been such an honor for me to share with you. And I want you to know that one of the basic solutions that I found for my Parkinson's and reversed it, also reversed something called ADD, which I didn't even know I had because we didn't know it when we were growing up. But one of the symptoms of ADD for some people is procrastination, waiting to the last minute. Now, why would I wait to the last minute to do stuff? Because at the last minute, it's dangerous. That's a big dopamine stimulator. So I needed higher dopamine stimulation to motivate me, as opposed to just relaxed motivation. You don't have to have danger and everything. You know, I had to think, oh, you know, I'm going to die before I'm willing to do something. Just feel your natural inclination to do what you want to do. So ADD also, when my wife would talk, my mind would go somewhere else. Why did it go somewhere else? Because what she was saying seemed to be rather boring because it didn't have excitement to it, didn't have a job for me to do, but my mind would go to problems that I do have a job to do. So my mind was split. All that went away after I restored normal brain function. So I realized that ADD, oh, so easy to help your kids with ADD. Some simple solutions: high doses of 500 milligrams of vitamin C twice a day with 300 milligrams of grapeseed extract. Boom, you'll see results. Now, some kids, because they have gut issues, they need to do the Bravo yogurt, which is like the most powerful yogurt on the market. You have to make it at home. 43 different strains of probiotics. This restores normal gut function after 3 months. I might mention that my daughter did in the past used to do that. And I think just 3 months, it will restore normal gut function and detoxify the body and purify the liver. When you get all of the probiotics going, and it doesn't matter how much, it's more about diversity. But when you actually make the yogurt, it's billions and trillions of bacteria you're putting in your body that's beneficial. So that's a really key thing for me. And the other thing I learned was to get the improve the dopamine serotonin function in my brain. I invented this solution because I researched it and said, what's the solution here? And if I go back to share the screen before I go, share screen, click on the page and go over here to share. And I go over to, this is my free course. And then there's this, the Mars Venus Superfood Shake. So what happens is I created this shake. This is one for women. I did one for men. And what happens is that's the whole solution there. It's the shake, the super cleanse, and super minerals. So that's what reversed my program for me, along with Bravo yogurt. I needed to restore my brain. Now, what's unique about that is dairy. And a lot of people couldn't handle dairy and still can't because their hormones are out of balance. They have stress and they're missing good probiotics in the gut. But what I discovered is the reason people have a hard time with dairy is because they have a hard time with dairy because cow dairy has 90% casein and only 10% whey. And so whey protein is much easier to digest. But actually, casein is easy to digest if it's 50-50, about 60 for men, 60-40 for men, and about 60-40 more whey protein for women, a little less casein. And those balances make it very easy because that's what mother's milk is. So let's take cow's milk, but the actual ingredients, and balance it the way mother's milk is. Suddenly you can digest it better, particularly if it's not heat processed. So this is called undenatured whey and casein protein. No other product in the world has this. Then what you do is you add enzymes to it to digest it for you. Because if you have any mental issues, you're going to be, you're not digesting properly. You're not digesting your proteins. So that's what makes the brains work. So I put the enzymes in it, all the enzymes in there. I put some good fats, some flax and whatever, but most important, and some minerals that will activate the enzymes. So you take that powder and you put it in a glass and you put in room temperature water and you let it sit. It cooks all by itself. It enzymes, it incubates for 30 to 45 minutes. It bubbles and it digests for you. So you're getting digested proteins. Drink it down, boom, goes right to your brain. It's shockingly amazing and delicious. Nobody's ever thought of this. We did tests on it in Switzerland, and it's digested 94%, whereas normal protein shakes or proteins are in the range of 20 to 25%. And the rest is toxic to your body, or it converts into blood sugar and raises your blood sugar. So this is an amazing product for people. And the other thing that's part of the wellness solution I needed for my brain is also mineral orotates. Mineral orotates, lithium orotate, zinc orotate, potassium orotate, calcium orotate, and magnesium orotate. 5 alkalizing minerals bonded to uric acid, which is in mother's milk, and to get it across the blood-brain barrier into the brain and stabilizes your mood. I mean, it's amazing. If you got your proteins and your minerals in the brain, your mood is better, your stress levels are down, and then all you have to do is the behaviors I suggest in my book which is women, you need to spend more time doing the things that you love to do. And you need to learn how to ask for help. And men have to learn how to give more help and get the help that will be appreciated. Certainly men do so much. That's just not always what women need the most, because we don't understand women. We don't understand women's hormones. So I'm going to close with a very basic exercise you can do this week, and you'll see the difference if you're in a relationship. And this is called Genie in the Bottle. Genie in the Bottle is a 20-minute process you do with your partner. Do it every day, 20 minutes after he's out of his cave. All right, 20 minutes. And in that time, she can't do anything for herself. Helpless. You have to help me. Okay, want to play Genie in the Bottle? He's the genie, so he's all powerful. You see, men need to feel all powerful, the hero who's going to, solve your problems for you. So in the game, you can't do anything for yourself. And so you have to rub the genie, which means you have to ask for help. You have to ask specifically, what would you like? You just say, okay, let's play the game. The next 20 minutes. He says, my pleasure. I will do anything you like. Whatever you like, I'm here to do for you. Oh, I'd like you to empty the sink and put it in the dishwasher. Take away the dishes in the sink. He says, happy to. Normally, maybe he'd grumble, but here it's a game. Okay, yes, I'll be happy to. Like he's in a fancy restaurant and he's serving you whatever you wish. I'm happy to provide it. First class airplane. Oh, I'll be glad to do what you like. Be sure to push this button. I'll be right here to help you. Okay, so now he goes and he does the dishes. Now you can't say, there's rules to this game. You can't say empty, put the dishes in the dishwasher. And in the future, always remember to do that. No, that's called controlling. Right now, you give him a job to do, he does it, and then you smile when he does it, and you ask for something else, and you ask for something else. Would you go upstairs to get the rose oil and to give me a foot massage? And he runs as fast as he can to get that rose oil, like he's a genie. He's all powerful. He's whoosh, he's gone. And he comes back, thank you. And then he does it. Now, would you massage my feet? Take my shoes off, take my socks off, and gentle, put the oil on, massage my feet. Yes, I like that very much. That feels so good. Now, I'd like you to get the remote control. Hand me the remote control. I'm going to watch a show while you do this, or put on some beautiful music. Or you can have him do it. Just put on this music. Basically, you're powerless. You have to ask for help, and you get to experience asking for things that can be immediately satisfied by him, not by you. And get out of the habit of I have to do everything myself, because that is a testosterone booster, not an estrogen progesterone booster. So this is really a fun game to do. It will start balancing your hormones very, very quickly, lowering your stress levels. And then if you have things like headaches, or if you're a woman and you got bone issues, be concerned about that. BioSil, proven to outbeat any drug for that. BioSil is amazing. There's berberine for blood sugar issues, just helping somebody with diabetes. People don't even know there's natural solutions to all these things. Membrane support, which is 2-AEP, will restore the cells which are damaged by too much insulin. And then you take berberine, Banaba, Glyco X is a product I sell on my website. Boom, immediately fills the brain with good energy, because it balances your blood sugar. It doesn't allow your blood sugar to spike, which causes brain degeneration. And if you have that brain degeneration, not to worry, because lithium orotate proven to regenerate white brain cells and gray brain cells. Increase your brain power as you get older by taking the super minerals for men or the super minerals for women. Why divide them up is because for men, we need more zinc, and for women, they need more magnesium, pretty much the same of everything else. So these are some of the ideas that I put forth. Lots of ideas in my wellness solution book. Little videos explaining our basic, can't sleep. Here's some good suggestions, good supplements. Here you got digestive issues. Here's some good suggestions. You got blood sugar issues. You got headaches. You got low energy, all these things. But I'm a big believer that you can take supplements till the end of the world. But if you're not experiencing love is the answer. They just help your body to generate it. You can have all the love in the world, but if your body doesn't have food and doesn't have nutrients, it doesn't work. But you can have all the right nutrients, but if you're not doing the right behaviors, if you're a woman and you're overwhelmed doing stuff, worrying about stuff, mind perfectionism, you're in stress all the time. Practice these techniques I teach, and beyond Mars and Venus. That's the new book. The new book for the modern woman is Beyond Mars and Venus. So my goodness, health freedom, Expo. I'm just so honored to be a part of this, and want to thank you for participating in this event. And I hope that you'll share this with your friends as well. Thank you.